Hi there, I'm the Myth Keeper. Welcome back to my channel. This week we're going back to my Ancestry series, and what I've tried to do for this video is I've tried to do ancestries that have been requested by viewers in the comments. So once again, this is kind of a random grab bag. It's all the ancestries that have been requested since I posted my last More Ancestries video. I'm calling this one Even More Ancestries. We got dog people, we got fox people, we got frog people, we got all kinds of people in this video. I think you'll enjoy it. Even more Pathfinder Ancestries. Instead of doing this video alphabetically like I did my last video covering some of the less common ancestries, I'm going to tackle this one geographically. I'm covering 2 new ancestries native to the continent of Avestan, 3 new ancestries commonly found in Garand, and 3 new ancestries commonly found in Tianxia. Let's start in Avestan. The Strix. The Strix, also known as the Atari in their own language, are avian humanoids with imposing talons and feathered wings that sprout from their backs. Standing at an average height of 6 feet, they are taller than most humans but lighter in weight. Strix mature at 14 years of age and have an average lifespan of 40 years. They have pointed ears and large black eyes, although golden eyes occasionally manifest. Their bodies are lean and muscular, a testament to the strength required to flex their wings. Strix prioritize ferocity, vengeance, and devotion above all else. They are known for their broad wingspans and razor-sharp talons, which they use to defend their communities. Strix are often misunderstood due to their reputation as winged devils, but they boast a compassionate, artistic, and spiritual culture with deep roots. Strix originate from an area of Cheliax called Devil's Perch, which I describe in more detail in my regional deep dive video on Cheliax. The Strix consider all the land they can see from their largest settlement at Kirixkree, the so-called Shrieking Spire, as their own, and they are fiercely territorial. Most Strix clans live among the rocky spires of this region, although at least one group, the Kitkasitika tribe, live in the Ravenel forest far to the north of Devil's Perch. That settlement is also unique in other ways. Unlike other Strix settlements, it is friendly with the human government of Ravenel, which is headquartered in the nearby city of Kintargo, and in fact were allies of the Silver Raven revolutionaries during Ravenel's battle for independence a few years ago. In Cheliax, however, their presence in Devil's Perch have given the area a dark reputation among the surrounding human communities. Strix form small, tight-knit tribes or bands, and they prioritize the needs of their communities over their individual desires, and communally maintain a very well-organized division of labor. As a result, the loss of a single tribe member is seen as a devastating blow to their communities. Strix tribes are led by a female Rokoa, who serve as the tribal leaders. Due to their history of conflict with Cheliax, most Strix harbor a deep fear and suspicion of humans. The Strix have their own legends, which they keep secret from outsiders, and in those legends they make the claim that Devil's Perch was not their true homeland. According to their lore, the Strix were transported to Cheliax during a devastating storm that banished the wicked and undeserving from their original home. It was prophesied that they would suffer here until the last sunset of the world. When the Age of Darkness dawned, the sun seemingly disappeared, leading the Strix to believe that their punishment had ended. It is then that they discovered Kirixkree, the Shrieking Spire, and became more than the savage beasts they had devolved into during their banishment. If there is truth to these legends, then there are 2 possible clues that may indicate the true origins of the Strix. The first comes from another avian race, located in distant Arcadia. The Syrinx are owl-like humanoids dwelling in Arcadia, only recently discovered by Avestinian civilizations. Much to the surprise of Chelish explorers, the Strix could be found among the Syrinx as well, where they lived as a lower caste of avian, serving their Syrinx overlords as warriors and slave masters in the strictly hierarchical Syrinx society. It's possible the Strix could originate from Arcadia, and for their part the Syrinx themselves claim the Strix have always been their servants and lessers. Another stranger reference, however, may contradict this account, as there are books in the Great Library of the Elves of Keonin that make reference to Strix living among both the Elves and the Aslanti in the pre-Earthfall period, and even some suggestion that the Elves may have brought the Strix to Galarian with them from their own homeworld through the Ayudara as far back as the Age of Serpents. Whatever the truth is, it is likely we will never know for certain, as there are too many gaps in the record. Regardless, all Strix carry with them the weight of these legends, and most have secret imaginings of what their lost and beautiful homeland might once have been. The Shoony. Our next ancestry takes us to Absalom, which is a place I haven't covered yet in my deep dive series, but I will get to eventually, as it's a pretty significant place. Absalom, known as the city at the center of the world, is home to over 1/3 people, one of the largest metropolises on Galarian, and as such, it faces significant challenges in providing enough food for its population.
When the island was raised from the sea by Aradin, the last Aslanti, he anticipated this need, and he imbued it with fertility through these things called Aeon Towers and their enchanted Aeon Orbs. These towers continue to nurture the once lifeless underwater rock even after Aradin's passing. The majority of these life-sustaining Aeon Orbs were summoned to the western section of the Isle of Kortos, situated between the Kortos Mountains and the Sulan Hills. This region, the Swordlands, colloquially known as the Sword to its inhabitants, comprises mainly of pastoral lands, farms, and mines in the inland hills. Here you may also find logging camps located on the outskirts of the Immenwood, and several villages and settlements that provide support to the region's various industries. The area is replete with numerous streams and springs, while the major waterways are the Husna and Ir rivers. It's in this idyllic place that we encounter the Shoonies. According to their own stories, Aradin created their kind to provide him with pleasant company soon after he created the Isle of Kortos. Shoony culture is rooted in this myth and its implications, which help to explain the Ancestries' long reputation for hospitality, goodwill, and pacifism. War is antithetical to the Shoony way of life. Shoonies rely on cooperation and persistence to make their way through a world that can seem at times hell-bent on destroying them. Shoonies are unflappable in their optimism and always see the best in others, even when faced with frequent subjugation and exploitation that might create bitterness or xenophobia among other societies. To Shoonies, peace is a goal always worth striving for, and no villain is beyond redemption, so they aim to resolve problems with peaceful solutions. These diminutive humanoids resemble squat bipedal dogs. Shoonies are sometimes mistaken for weak and insular pacifists. However, their sheer perseverance, incredible work ethic, and resourceful use of diplomacy make them far from helpless. Shoonies are typically squat and furry, with flattened, candid faces and wet black eyes. Their fur can be a variety of hues and patterns, with the most common colors being fawn or black, and their loose skin gives even the fittest Shoonie a pudgy appearance. Shoonies have short curly tails that sometimes wag involuntarily when the Shoonie is content or particularly excited or pleased. Like canines, Shoonies cannot sweat. They pant to mitigate heat and exertion, and it is not uncommon to see a Shoonie with a perpetually lolling tongue. A Shoonie reaches maturity after just 8 to 10 years, and the elders of their villages rarely reach the age of 50. Little differentiates male and female Shoonies except during the late stages of pregnancy, and as they age, both sexes develop graying facial fur, wrinkled skin, and frail joints. The average Shoonie is 3.5 feet tall, and they tend to weigh less than 100 pounds. Despite the Shoonie drive towards communal living, most Shoonie settlements are farming villages with populations of no more than 100. Shoonies work hard to make their lands bountiful, and they recognize that large, dense populations can negatively affect the ecosystem. Monster attacks, natural disasters, and exploitation from stronger cultures have all also limited the spread of Shoonies across the Inner Sea region. Despite their short lifespan, Shoonies are happy-go-lucky people, with an irrepressible love of the land and their fellow Shoonies, and remain optimistic even under the worst circumstances. The simple pleasures of living on this beautiful world, engaging in hard work, and surrounding themselves with loved ones motivates Shoonies to push through the hardships that all too often befall their people. Now let's leave the Isle of Kortos and continue south to the region called the Golden Road. In Kadira, Katapesh, Osirian, and Thuvia, we encounter another kind of plain-touched humanoid, the Suli. Sulis are a type of geniekin, similar to other beings such as Ifrits, Oreads, Sylphs, and Undines. However, they differ in that they are touched by 2 or more elements, making them hybrid geniekin. They are all born with the innate ability to command the elements they are connected to. This ability allows them to shroud their arms in acid, ice, electricity, or fire. Among the humans of Kadira, Sulis are highly regarded and considered blessed due to their genie heritage. They possess a human-like appearance, making it difficult to distinguish them from their mortal parents' race, especially as children. Although some Sulis are born of 2 Sulis, most are the result of a union between mortal humanoids and the jinn. Sulis have vibrant eyes, brilliant bronze skin, and a charm and intensity inherited from their heritage. They can also be mistaken for sorcerers due to their genie heritage being easily misinterpreted. Suli heritage usually manifests during adolescence, either accidentally or due to some kind of magical exposure. Unlike other geniekin, Sulis have similar lifespans to humans and exhibit a stronger human nature due to their weaker elemental influence. Sulis are generally known for their boastful and competitive nature, and bragging is considered a cultural institution. Most seek recognition and desire to be remembered for centuries. Explosive interactions can occur when they encounter other equally acerbic people. Sulis are commonly found on the elemental planes, but on Golarion they're most often born to nomadic Jan clans located in the continent of Kazmarin. Jan encouraged their offspring to brag about their achievements and often send Sulis into human society, hoping to improve the stance of the Kelishite government on genie slavery. Suli alchemists, particularly in Merab, are highly prized for their connection to the four elements and their ability to create element-infused creations. Sulis often venerate multiple deities at once. Some seek strength to exact revenge on societies that mistreat them and worship an elemental lord or all four. Another curious cultural trait is that a number of Suli follow the Fae god the Lantern King, as they are drawn to his warming laughter and his fickle tricks. Grippli. Traveling from northern Garand to central Garand, we encounter the Grippli. The Gripplis, a people resembling humanoid tree frogs, are typically reclusive and cautious, preferring to avoid involvement in dangerous affairs. However, they are not averse to taking noble and bold actions when the situation demands it. With their gangly physiques, oversized eyes, and wide mouths, Gripplis possess excellent climbing abilities and camouflage that varies according to their home environment. Although they reach adulthood about 3 years after hatching and grow to be around 2 feet tall, Gripplis are only considered adults at age 12, and their lifespan typically does not exceed 60 years. Despite their small stature and reliance on simple tools, Gripplis lead a sophisticated hunter-gatherer lifestyle that involves reshaping the landscape to suit their needs. Their techniques, such as building spillways to trap fish and sowing fruit-bearing trees and cover-granting foliage, often escape the notice of agriculturalists. Community cooperation and dispersed populations underpin these strategies, and Gripplis commonly live in small villages as part of a complex web of alliances and relationships. Gripplis are a rare sight in the Inner Sea region, as few venture out of their jungle habitats to explore the outside world. While they were once common throughout the Mwangi Expanse, Gripplis have been restricted by the encroaching Chara-Ka to the east and exploitative humans to the west. Nevertheless, these frog-like beings are not generally perceived as a significant threat due to their relatively primitive technology and modest ambitions. The Kava lands represents their primary stronghold, and their largest settlement is called Krihirik, located just north of Vidrian, but as that territory continues to diminish, younger Gripplis have begun to explore and acquire modern tools to help safeguard their place in Garand. While Gripplis may not possess advanced technology, they have a deep understanding of their natural surroundings. This connection goes beyond physical attributes. Over the centuries, Gripplis have developed rich cultural and religious traditions to preserve their environments. Some tribes, located near tainted areas, such as battlefields or cursed temples, have devised methods to combat these corrupt forces. Thus, Gripplis are a marker of an area's spiritual health, and as they are driven from their ancestral homes, reports of malevolent ruins reawakening throughout the Mwangi Expanse have become more frequent. Grippli can also be found in Tianxia as well. The Grippli tribes of the Valashmai jungle in Tianxia are far bolder than their Garundi cousins. The brutal conditions of the primordial forest have made these Gripplis fiercely territorial and unafraid to take on the jungle's gigantic beasts in order to protect their resources. While they rarely leave their own borders, when they do, their courage and distinctive body paint leave a lasting impression. The Anadi. Traveling even further south in Garand, we come across the Anadi, a people who originated in the southern Garundi nation of Nirvacha. Nirvacha is one of the coastal nations of southern Garand, south of the Inner Sea region, and as such it is not represented on any printed maps provided by Paizo, as only the upper third of Garand has been accurately mapped. However, we do know a few things about the region. We know the savage jungles of the Mwangi Expanse dominate the interior of southern Garand just as they do in the north. Civilized lands can be found in the coastal regions, and since Nirvacha sits along the coast, we can assume the Anadi have a large and active civilization in that part of the world. We also know that as far back as the days of the Shori Empire, the Anadi people had interactions with the more civilized of the northern nations, like the Shori Empire and the Magambaya Academy, which has recently been re-established. As a result, a number of Anadi can be found in northern Garand as well, where many of our adventures are more likely to take place. In fact, it's possible that any interaction one has with a Mwangi human is in fact an interaction with one of the Anadi. They may be hiding in plain sight because they are able to take human form. They learn to do this, as they quickly learn that humans found their natural form quite frightening. In their natural form, they possess a human-sized, spider-like body with various colorations. Some Anadi come in simple or muted colors, while others remain striking and vibrant. An Anadi typically measures 5 feet from their front legs to their rear legs when standing comfortably, and all Anadi have the ability to transform into a human form that typically blends in with their region of origin. Most Anadi living among humans have adjusted to remaining in their human form for considerable lengths of time, while some others, who live among more tolerant humans, have instead found a hybrid arachnid humanoid form to be a happy middle ground. Regardless of their form, Anadi reach physical maturity after 13 years, undergoing several molting phases throughout their development, and have a lifespan of approximately 80 years. They live in a peaceful communal society, focusing on activities such as mushroom farming and blanket weaving, and they place great value on cooperation and mutual respect. Due to their upbringing and cultural values, Anadi are often perceived as shy and struggle with severe conflict. Additionally, their unique appearance has led to difficulties in establishing trade with neighboring communities, leading the Anadi to retreat into isolation until they found a solution. It was through the innovation of their greatest scholars that Anadi developed a fusion of transmutation and illusion magic that allowed them to assume humanoid form, which they then taught to the majority of their people. There is a great cultural misconception about the Anadi that they are natural shapeshifters. This is in fact a learned ability. While this new approach to diplomacy did yield better results, sporadic contact with outsiders has led to many false legends and rumors, including claims that Anadi are humans who transform into monstrous spiders. Nonetheless, the Anadi people strive towards a future where they can live openly, without hiding their true nature. Now let's head over to Tianxia. The Kitsune. Let's start in the far north of Tianxia, above the imperial kingdom of Minkai. There can be found a woodland region known as the Forest of Spirits. This woodland is the home of the Kitsune people. As they hail from the far north of Tianxia, and as they are itinerant explorers, many Kitsune have made the long journey over the crown of the world into the lands of the Linorm kingdoms, as I describe in my regional deep dive for that area. That means that today, Kitsune can also be found in parts of the Inner Sea as well, but most commonly in the northern kingdoms, and few individuals can be found further south than Varisia. Kitsune are a witty and charismatic people who possess a deep connection to the spiritual realm that endows them with numerous magical abilities, including the power to shape change into other forms. Kitsune are astute observers of societies around them and can move among other peoples undetected, or, on the other hand, make their tails visible. With pointed snouts, alert vulpine ears, and short semi-retractable claws on their fingers and toes, Kitsune have dense fur that is often red, tan, black, or white in color, and bushy tails that can number up to 9 as they refine their innate magical abilities. Kitsune have two forms, one of a fox-headed humanoid, and another based on their upbringing. Kitsune raised in a populated area generally possess a tailless form, a human-like body devoid of any fox features that mirrors a more common ancestry, such as an elf or human. In contrast, those raised in rural or wooded areas are more likely to take the form of a common fox. While exclusively Kitsune settlements do exist, the majority of them live among other ancestries, allowing them to gain insight into social rules or dynamics that others may only process subconsciously. Kitsune enjoy subverting expectations as much as they enjoy following them. They love jokes for joke's sake, stories, and wordplay, particularly when the twist of a riddle depends on the listener's assumptions, all of which reinforces the reputation as tricksters. Kitsune are seldom the majorities in their community, and most go their entire lives without meeting another Kitsune outside their family. Their society, such as it is, primarily centers around the commonalities that Kitsune discover as they pass among other people. This same social perspective that enables them to imitate others also allows them to swiftly notice signs that someone may require assistance or a kind word. Because of this, Kitsune frequently form strong interpersonal relationships and serve as anchors in their social circles. When two Kitsune meet, they may engage in light verbal sparring, enjoying the challenge of trying to outdo each other. While it is considered a severe offense to divulge another Kitsune's shape-changing abilities, Kitsune take pleasure in covertly forcing another to break character by making a well-timed comment that shocks the other into disrupting their transformation. The Nagaji. Heading further south in Tianxia, we find the nation of Nagajor, one of the largest nations of Tianxia, ruled by Naga matriarchs. Nagajor is a tropical realm of jungles, rivers, and swamps, and it is a region dominated in its center by volcanic mountains. Although ruled over by the Naga, it is a country populated chiefly by the serpentine Nagaji people, who have both Naga and human ancestry. Nagaji, with their humanoid bodies and serpentine heads, serve as companions, heralds, and servants of the powerful Nagas. They are deeply respectful of sacred places and spiritual truths, which others find as intimidating as their appearance. Nagaji exhibit sharp differences in appearance, with some having tails and sharp claws, while others are mistaken for lamias. Nevertheless, most Nagaji have a serpentine head and a humanoid body, with unblinking eyes and scales that cover their bodies. Despite their physical differences, Nagaji often possess a crushing strength, manifested in various ways, such as bulky or slender musculature. According to their myths, the Tian goddess Nalinavati created the Nagaji by merging both humans and Nagas, envisioning a world where they might work together, with Nagas serving as sacred guardians and the Nagaji living as mortals on Golarion, respecting Nagas' strength and wisdom. Living up to this expectation, Nagaji form diverse communities with varying governments, societies, and traditions. However, they share a common trait: devotion, be it to a community, a temple, a concept, or a lifestyle. Nagaji communities vary widely, from ancient empires to tiny fishing villages, often isolated from other peoples due to their unique physical needs. Nagaji have different views on marriage, religion, social roles, valued arts, governance, and due to this, like human societies, they will often go to war among each other. Another thing they have in common, beyond their devotion to tradition, is that all Nagaji consider themselves the rivals and enemies of the Garudas, due to historical legends in which the Garuda attempted to wipe out the Nagaji at some point in the distant past. A final common trait among the differing groups is that the concept of karma universally appeals to the Nagaji, and each of them believe what goes around comes around, and they believe that each among their kind should attempt to fulfill their proper role in the universe. Most Nagaji tend to see themselves as highly pious beings, influenced by Tian and Vudrani concepts of elements, medicine, and spirituality. Nagaji respect women in leadership positions and trace lineage through the mother, with almost none of their societies being strictly patriarchal in nature. Though they have little physical need for clothes, they wear them with pride and treat them as decorative elements similar to jewelry. While originating from Nagajor and Tianxia, Nagaji have spread across Golarion, carrying traditions from their ancestral homeland. In the Inner Sea region, the two most likely places to encounter Nagaji are on the island of Jalmaray, where there is a sizable population of them, and in the city of Absalom, which is such an important international port that many well-traveled Nagaji have chosen to settle there. Ysoki. Finally, our last species is the Ysoki, and most of their kind are said to originate in Zahoy and Minata, and they can be found in large numbers across many of the small islands of the Wandering Isles. These Ysoki are natural swimmers and prefer wet tropical climates. Some Ysoki, however, instead trace their origins to the arid deserts of central Casmarin, and this desert breed are physically leaner and possessed of lighter-colored fur than their tropical cousins, although they share many of the same cultural traits. Ysoki, also known as ratfolk, are a versatile and fastidious ancestry that value cleanliness and strong social structures. They have whiskered snouts, large ears, hairless tails, and typically have red eyes and short brown or black fur. Despite their meticulous hygiene habits, they are often mistaken for being dirty or diseased due to their unusual appearance. As a result, they often conceal their physical features with layers of clothing when in the company of other ancestries. Ysoki are communal people who prefer to live in cramped conditions and can pack up to 100 individuals into a single house. They are also good with their hands and have a talent for spotting anything out of the ordinary, making them ideal companions on trading expeditions. In Tianxia, Ysoki wagons, pulled by giant rats, are a common sight in merchant caravans, as they have a long tradition of working as traders and tinkers. Ysoki culture values cooperation and community, and Ysoki are taught from a young age to forge fast friendships and connections with Ysoki outside their family. Discrimination against Ysoki has prompted them to rely on each other, strengthening their family and communal bonds. They can quickly differentiate between bad actors and those who are acting out of ignorance, modeling good behavior and slowly working to reverse generations of discrimination. They are always on the lookout for members of other ancestries who don't judge them for their appearance and welcome them into their communities. In spite of the challenges they face due to their appearance, Ysoki remain a resilient and adaptable people. Their inveterate hoarding habits and love of travel make them fascinating and loyal companions for those who earn their trust.
Thanks for watching. I hope I covered the ancestry that you were interested in. If I didn't, please let me know in the comments below and I'll try to get it next time. If you enjoy the content that you're seeing here today, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I'll see you next week.